Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go,
Yo, it's your pastor, Keenan Riley, back with another episode of People Suck, Love 'Em Anyways. It's your hostess with the mostest, and my sidekick, Nick, is right here beside of me as always. Nick, tell him how you living, buddy.
The best life.
Absolutely.
The best life.
I'm cutting you off right there because that was a pretty hype answer. I don't want you to bring it down. So, living that hype life. I like it, man. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you for hitting that download button. Thank you for telling people about us. And we just keep that movement going. We're almost halfway through. That's crazy, Nick. We're almost halfway through 2023.
I know, it's pretty crazy. I was thinking the other day, I was like, God, we've done 70 episodes of this podcast. And I was like,
yeah,
ugh.
Absolutely, man. I mean, it was just a figment of our imagination, in January of last year. It was a cell phone between us and hope for the best. And now, we've, bought gear and working towards maybe even starting to videotape episodes and putting them up and, having more frequent guests and, and things like that. So, I mean, it's definitely taken off for sure. So, again, and that is a testament to you guys hitting that download button and talking to us and telling us, what you like, what you don't like, and, things like that. But anyways, we just want to say thank you so much for that. And, as always, what we've been here doing lately is taking some news articles, talking about, I think last week was more about like school safety in general. And, and again, big shout out to Dan Jenkins for being on with us last week. And it's just me and Nick tonight. But we do have a special guest coming next week, I believe, that, is a stable in our community, I feel like. So hopefully you'll get to hear that. But nonetheless, tonight we're going to talk about, I hope you're ready, the hot button issue of churches today across America. Politics.
Woo!
Politics, baby. If you want to divide a church quicker than anything, start talking red or blue. Start talking Democrat or Republican. Start talking Orange Man or the babbling Biden. One of the two. You know what I'm saying?
You should trademark that.
I know, right? And you start talking things like that, boy, and I tell you what, it gets heated quick and in a hurry.
Yeah, they say at family gatherings, Thanksgiving, the few things you should never bring up:
politics,
and
religion. Exactly. Like if you want to keep the playing ground level, never talk about politics, never talk about religion. But guess what? People suck, love them anyways.
We're talking about both.
We're talking about politics and religion and how. Watch this. You probably shouldn't be mixing them together. Ooh, that's gonna get on some people, but it's just our opinions, That's just how it is. So Nicholas has got an article for us right here. Is it a Christian article almost, I guess you would say? If a guy's having a dream or a vision, I mean, it's kind of like a Christian thing, right?
Yes, it's Newsweek.
Yeah. I don't know how Christian Newsweek is, but there you go.
Know. It's kind of like BuzzFeed, I guess. But I would say these are fairly realistic. I mean, they got videos with them, but it's pretty crazy. So let me see if I can find the title here. So this is in their politics section. This article came out, I believe it was today or yesterday. So the title of this article is "Right-Wing Pastor Says Prophecy of a Trump Second Term Was Correct."
Oh.
Well, if you live in America in 2023, you know that Trump is not our president.
Right.
So this article kind of caught my attention.
Yeah, right.
I was like, all right, let's see where this is going. So this article is about a right-wing pastor named Kent Christmas. And Kent Christmas insists that he and the other prophets, this is in quotes, prophets, who declared that Trump would be reelected in 2020 were actually right. This is a quote from him. It says, "In the eyes of God, the president of the United States right now, in the courts of justice in heaven, is not Joe Biden, but it is Donald Trump." End quote. And I'm going to go ahead and let us talk about that before I get to the next quote that we're going to talk about.
Who gets to decide that? Who gets to decide that? Who gets to be bold enough to make the statement that in heaven's realm of courts that Donald Trump is the president? Now, again, I have no dog in this race whatsoever. None. Like none. Like, let's make that very, very clear.
We are apolitical.
Yes,
I
yes.
think that's the right term.
I don't. I'm sure. You never got me that thesaurus.
I might need one myself.
Yeah, but like, who gets to say that? Mm-hmm. Who gets to say that? Like, who gets to say, you know what? According to God and according to the courts of heaven, Donald Trump is president.
Yeah. This guy's got that secret red phone line, you know, that had in the White House.
That it?
He's got that secret line, and God's like, "Hey, Donald Trump is president."
Yeah. Tell everybody.
Yeah,
you know,
tell everybody.
Tell everybody, man, that Donald Trump is president. Like, what? What are we talking about right now?
Yeah, I know that we believe in a God who, you know, he's working things out in different ways, and you know, he works in mysterious ways, and he knows things different than we do. But you know,
he's seen the future.
I mean, it's. I guess, you know, we're kind of. I'm gonna
but
throw
did he
this
say
back.
right now?
Right? Yeah.
He said right now.
He said the election in 2020 was won by Donald Trump.
Right.
Even though the numbers don't tell that same story, but. You know, and again, not to get into the whole, you know, rigged election type situation.
We gonna get into it.
Yeah, we probably will get into it.
Yeah.
But it's just, you know, I guess this guy was just sitting here, and you know, he's like, you know, hey, he's president. God told me. You know, I don't care what anybody else says.
What? I just get tickled about this stuff, man, because I've been in the game a long time. Whenever it comes to like Jesus stuff and, you know, being in church and things like that, and I think, oh goodness, how can I say this politely?
Gee, I didn't know Jesus appointed representatives on earth, you know, for politics.
I think that people give Jesus a bad name whenever it comes to stuff he said that he really didn't say.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
oh yeah. I guarantee you that like Kent Christmas said this, and God is just up there shaking his head.
His head. He's got that disappointed look on his face right now, going,
God, I should flood the earth again.
Yeah,
I just can't.
Noah, are you ready to build that boat? You know,
somebody get Steve Carell over here. Let's build the boat again.
Like, what are we doing, man? You know, I think people have given God such a bad name over stuff like that.
God told me to marry you. No, he did not.
How can I say this as politely as possible? Again, this is probably a touchy subject tonight, but you know, the whole God told me to tell you. Mm-hmm. The whole God told. I'm not saying God didn't send messengers. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that there's still not prophets roaming the earth. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that God communicates with me about my relationship and life. Now, God may send me confirmation through somebody or a situation. And this is just me. This is the way I believe. So, you know, again, if you don't like it, you know, you may be entitled to believe a different way. But, you know, God can send confirmation, but God gives me the revelation. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. Like, it's like whenever somebody comes up, God told me to tell you, and then reveals something. Listen, I said I've been around in the game a long time. I've had people come up, and this is no joke. This is no joke. True story. My wife was pregnant with Gaines, and this lady comes up. God told me to tell you that I'm supposed to bring you all of the baby girl clothes that I got. Well, we knew we were having a boy. I mean,
once upon a child will appreciate it.
Yeah. Like, we knew without a shadow of a doubt that we was having a boy. I mean, either that or he had a large tumor that we needed to get taken care of, you know, as soon as he came out.
Is this why you told me my son was going to be a girl?
Yeah, exactly, man.
Progress?
Yeah, I'm just
even though his birth certificate does say he's a female right now, so I can't say
Yeah.
too much about that.
But true story, man. Like, you know, this woman came up and said the words, God told me to tell you. And I was like, okay. You know, and here's the thing. Like people who aren't seasoned in the Word, or people who aren't seasoned in their relationship with God or whatever, like, I mean, some people will look and go, well, did I hear God wrong? Well, did I see something wrong? You know, because they're saying this and they're saying this. And
leadership in a church.
Yeah, that's why we have to, I mean, this is just me. That's why I think we have to be careful. And again, I don't... man, I may preach tonight. I'm like, no joke, because I don't tune people out, but I don't necessarily let them tune in either. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't tune people out because sometimes I want to hear what you've conjured up. I want to hear.
Yeah, I got popcorn waiting.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
oh,
you're
absolutely.
looking like Michael Jackson
meme.
theater,
That's exactly what I was going to say. But and again, I'm not saying God can't send confirmation, but to me, God's going to send revelation to the person He's bringing through the process. You know what I'm saying? Because here's the thing: what good is confirmation without revelation? Don't make me preach tonight, bro.
I'm letting you preach.
Don't make me preach tonight, man. I mean, this may be painkillers I'm on right now. I don't know, man. But what good is revelation without? I'm sorry. What good is confirmation without revelation? Because if somebody comes up and tells you something that God's not revealed to you, well, let me ask you a question. What if it never comes to pass? Are you the failure?
Well, you look like one.
I'm just asking. I mean, let's have a conversation. I mean, are you the failure? Because, somebody come up to you. If I was to come up to you and say, hey, Nick, God told me to tell you that you're supposed to sell everything you got, go live on the side of the road, be a hermit, and God's going to take you to Dallas, Texas, somehow or way, and you're just going to blow up and you're going to have an awesome ministry.
Thank you.
And you're like, oh, okay, God's never said nothing to me about this, but I'll start tomorrow. Kia's up for sale. I mean, quit my job. Yeah. And you come out on the corner and you're standing here with a sign that says Dallas, Texas, or bust, or whatever. Right. You know what I'm saying? How many people, first off, are going to be like, "What's this kid doing? What's happening at this moment?"
He done lost his mind.
Yeah, and let's just say you're on that same corner 6 months from now, going.
Well, Keenan said it was coming.
Yeah, Keenan said it's coming. It's just right around the corner. God told him, tell me.
Yeah, and God's done had like a newspaper with a help wanted ad fly past your face a couple times.
Yeah,
and,
7 jobs. You sold your phone, so you can't. So you don't even know who's calling you about a job.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't think a newspaper flying in front of you is a God, you might be like, hey.
I don't even know if they make those anymore.
Yeah, apparently it's a history thing. I think it's just crazy because what you're saying, I definitely agree with. If God hasn't spoke it to you and then somebody comes into your life and says, hey, God told me to tell you this, and you're like, well, why should I trust you? It's just one of those things. I think a lot of we talk. I think we even talked before the podcast, kind of comparing this to the.
Well, come on now.
I dropped my phone.
God saying sell. God told me to tell you to sell it right now.
But
give it to me
episode,
for free,
right? The episode that we did a while back about the cult leader. How easy it is for some people to just believe what someone they trust and put their faith in says. A person in a leadership position says something like this, but and I think it's different when you consider the scale, of this type of situation here. I mean, this guy, this pastor, Kent Christmas, is basically telling people that God is refuting the election results of the United States of America that happened, 3 years ago.
You want me to hit you with a question?
Go ahead.
If God's refuting the results, why didn't He just step in and do what He really wanted to do?
I mean, it's one of those things, if God puts, in the Bible, if God puts kings and rulers in place, then
don't take my verse from me that I'm going to read here in a minute. You know what I'm saying? But that's the question. For real, if God is refuting the results that happened, why didn't He just step in and turn the results around? Why didn't He just magically lick His finger and start making little hash marks everywhere, all over cards? And
I've had that conversation with people before. I'm like, why? What if God's plan was Joe Biden being president in 2023?
God can't let bad things happen.
He doesn't do that.
Yeah, exactly. What is He doing?
Remember when He gave an evil spirit to Saul a couple times?
There's so many instances through the Bible where literally, God, and we talked about this on Sunday, talking about the difference between punishment and correction. If you're God's child, He's not punishing you, but He will correct you. And correction, I'm going to preach. Correction feels like punishment to people that don't want to change. Woo! Oh,
There we go.
We got to get an applause. We have an
we do
applause
have
thing.
applause. I think I actually took it away, but I don't remember. But I know. We'll get it.
Man, correction feels like punishment to people that don't want to change. Mind blown, man. I'm telling you, we're going to get on the stage one of these days, man. 5,000-10,000 people, and they're going to be like, "Say that again."
Wow.
Whoa.
That wall is brown.
Yeah, exactly. You keep going, preacher. But that's the deal, man. Like, we get to such a point, I feel like, that it's like it's almost like we want to create a fantasy land of what we want to see and what we want to think, and then we attach God to it.
Yeah, I mean, like we attach, like. We've talked about this before. We attach, God to a certain political party just because of certain beliefs. Like, the Republicans believe that abortion is bad, so Jesus is a Republican.
Yeah.
It just. But then you're like, well, Republicans are grabbing women by their.
Who am I? I'm going to see now, you damn Democrats all down to damnation right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw this microphone at you, and I'll tell you right now, you're voting Democrat. You ain't no Christian up in this place.
Our special guest, Greg Locke, over here.
Oh man, that sounded pretty good. Like
yeah,
him,
that's
right?
pretty good.
Yeah.
You missed a couple book burning quotes in there.
I know, man. Absolutely.
It's just, but again, it's crazy to see how political the church has gotten. I think that's, and I've had a conversation with a friend of mine who is, I would say, on the opposite side of the political spectrum as I had grown up to be.
Yeah.
And they believe that Jesus was political, and I had this conversation with them. And
Where?
I think
did he run for office?
Right. And I had this conversation, and I'm like, did
he hand out
to
cards?
Me, it's just.
VoteForJesus.com.
Right, and I think their argument was that Jesus fought for the underprivileged, and so that was a political stance at the time. So Jesus was political because he fought for the underprivileged, and he fought against things. Right?
You know what I'm saying?
Jesus Hood.
I call him Robin Hood. I call him Kevin Costner in the early '90s. I mean, what are we talking about? Like how? I think I get it to a certain extent what they're saying as far as the political side of it. But that's also what we're supposed to be doing as decent human beings as well.
This is my thing. Like, if you support, say for instance, you're supporting, as Kent here, supporting Donald Trump, right? Like, if you are a Christian on a pulpit on a Sunday saying that Donald Trump is the president of the United States and that he is going to pull us out and God has chosen him as his chosen person and chosen representative on earth, like,
oh, man.
Have you guys not heard what Donald Trump has said? And again, don't get me wrong, forgiveness is there, mercy is there, all that kind of stuff. He did things in the past, doesn't mean he's going to do them again.
We've all done crap wrong.
Exactly. But, like, do you think Donald Trump is our new Jesus Christ?
Oh my goodness!
Like,
with a spray tan,
right? I know. I mean, Jesus didn't even need
was
one.
dark. Yeah, I was gonna say, Jesus was dark,
and
anyways.
that's a news flash to a few Republicans out there.
I know, right?
Like,
yeah.
Wait a minute. What?
Like that blonde hair, blue eyed, fair skinned dude that's hanging in a lot of Baptist churches across America. Y'all done got that all wrong. You know,
that Aryan brother up there on the cross is not Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so y'all need to. Yeah, y'all definitely need to slow your roll on that situation. But
yeah, and it's just, to me, we have these pastors, these leaders, up here. They're taking a political side, and we've talked about this before. But when you take one political side, what you do is you push away the other side. And what Jesus did is he tried to bring all people to the cross. Everybody had a chance to come to Jesus, to come to know Jesus.
Yeah,
he wanted
absolutely.
all people of all creeds and backgrounds. But when you're on a pulpit saying Donald Trump is our savior, do you think that you're going to be bringing certain groups of people into your church to know who Jesus is? Do you think those people are going to listen to you?
Well, that's what I was saying even earlier, and I mean, I know I was like doing a little, type deal, like sounding like an angry chihuahua, I guess, but it's like, that's what I'm saying, like, and if you're sitting up here on Sundays, and again, whatever, every church is different, do what you want to do, but if you're sitting up here on Sundays and 30 minutes of your 45-minute sermon is politics, and bashing one side or the other. Like here's the thing. It's equal across the board. I feel like. I mean, I don't know. But I feel like it's equal across the board. It's like one side bashes the other side bashes the other side, and, so on and so forth. And it's like, where is Jesus in the middle of this? Like we're shouting people down for doing wrong in our eyes, but we're not offering anybody a way out of this. We're not saying, hey, like, I don't agree with you, but can I tell you about somebody who can forgive us both? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, that's the thing about it. It's like, where's the conversation at with that? Where's that conversation at?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just, we I think we wrap up, because we're sitting there thinking, I'll just put it this way. I think what we don't realize is that these people that we're voting for are paid to believe what they say they believe.
Well, then you're going to have a group of people that say, well, Donald Trump ain't paid.
Yeah, right. Donald Trump been paid his whole life.
He lost money whenever he came. He lost money whenever he came into the office. He is the only politician that hasn't benefited from being in office. Joe Biden, he's made his whole career in office. What are you talking about?
There's also
Let me
more
play
ways,
devil's advocate.
Right? There's also more ways to get paid than money.
Favors.
The
favors, sexual favors,
right, probably with him. But
yeah.
It's just to me, you think about all these people. They know Donald Trump entering into the political race. He knew what it took to be a Republican. He knew what he had to say. He knew what would sell T-shirts. He knew what would sell media. He knew what would get people riled up. He knew what to say. He knew how to say it in a way that got people riled up. I think he was excellent at that. He was excellent at being an igniter and lighting fires and causing chaos, and that's what he knew how to do. And unfortunately, I think that has bled its way into society in a crazy way.
I think it's done this. I think it's united a group of people, but not a nation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think
that to me, and that to me, how can I say this? That to me is betterment, but not beneficial. Mm-hmm. It's betterment because the group of people who agree with whatever he's doing or saying, you're seeing a bond of unity out of them. Mm-hmm. That's betterment for them. It's not really beneficial to the whole United States of America, because even though it's being a betterment to a certain group of people, it's also causing division, and alienating in a lot of different ways. And so that's what I mean by and I think that's really the conversation we're having about, politics on Sunday or politics from the pulpit, is that you are attracting the people who believe you, mm-hmm. or who believe in what you're preaching. But you're also putting a stark division there mm-hmm. between the people that might just want to hear about Jesus on Sundays. Mm-hmm. You know what
Absolutely.
I'm saying?
You take someone like, if you still are flying a Trump flag in your yard, but you're also flying a Christian flag underneath it. To me, you're like, because you take a community like the LGBTQI plus community, right? They
just keep on adding letters, dog.
I know. But maybe one day we'll be inclusive.
Yeah.
But they just keep you take that situation and you say, would a person that belongs to that community ever intentionally have a conversation with someone who is got that Make America Great Again hat on,
right? Yeah,
and if they do have a conversation, it ain't gonna be a pretty conversation. You take and you realize Jesus called us to make disciples of all nations. Jesus called us to love all people. Jesus broke down walls rather than building walls. He took down and took away division rather than causing more division.
Right. The only people that he caused division with was the religious folks. Mm-hmm. Was the folks that was
up on a pulpit saying Donald Trump was president.
The only people he caused division with were the people who were wanting to be heard and seen. Mm-hmm. And it's like heard and seen. Well, here's the deal. These days in 2023, this is both sides want to be heard and they want to be seen. Mm-hmm. I don't care. You Democrat, Republican, red, blue, man, woman, it, they, we, she, whatever.
Z.
Yeah. Everybody wants to be heard and they want to be seen. Mm-hmm. They want their voice to be heard. We've got the southern border that I don't even really know what's going on down there. It's like chaos. Mm-hmm. Mexico and U.S. has got, I don't know. They're big brothers now, I guess. I don't know. But anyways, that's a whole mess. You got, you got inflation, you got debt, you got, you just got a bunch of stuff going on, man. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing about it. It's like, everybody wants their voice to be heard. Everybody wants to be seen. Everybody wants equal rights. Everybody wants the best of this. Everybody wants this and that and the other. And everybody, here's, that's the deal. And then you got Christians, some Christians that just come in and it's like, can't we all just love Jesus? Mm-hmm. And it's like, No, you can only love Jesus if you look like, think like, talk like, be like that. And that's the thing. And it's like then so then there's even this division about again what I mean. And I guess I don't know. Maybe this shouldn't shock me because like churches can't even agree. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, why do we think that the world's going to get together?
37
and sing Kumbaya?
churches with a population of 15,000 people.
87, I think, man. I don't know about 37, but. It's the same way. It's like, we can't even get together and agree. I mean, it's and it's like, why? What for? Like, why can't we agree? Why can't we agree? Why? Because that dude don't preach like you preach, or that dude don't preach from the Bible that you preach from. Like, now there's some people I'm looking and I'm like, God, I couldn't go sit in that service, man. Like, what we was talking about before. Like, I don't come to hear a 30-minute bashing on Democrats. That's not why I go to church for, or why I would visit a church for. I want to visit a church that's Spirit-filled. I want to visit a church that's led by the Holy Spirit. I want to visit a church that is leading people to the Holy Spirit. And you can be filled with the Holy Spirit while you're there. That's why you come to church for. That's why I come to church for. And so, like that's my deal. And so, like, to me, if every Sunday somebody's getting up there and, and they're going, well, I can tell you right now, Donald Trump's still our commander-in-chief, and he is in the Allegheny Mountains somewhere, like, being hidden, and he's actually running the nation right now as we speak.
There's a burning bush talking to him right now.
Yeah, like, with things like that. And it's like, and if you don't believe that, then you ain't nothing but a corrupter of the devil, and, all of this good stuff. Like, like, if I'm hearing that every Sunday, that is not growing me spiritually.
Yeah, and this is something that hit me. I think we as a church, Christians in general, I would say, stereotypically, we'll put it that way. They see that our world is becoming more and more divided, but they refuse to look in the mirror and realize the church is dividing the world. And I think that's just something that's just crazy.
Say that one more time. We're going to preach in this place tonight. Say that one more time, man.
But, the church is so worried about the world constantly being divided, but it's sometimes the church that's constantly dividing the world.
Oh,
and
gosh,
it's
man.
just, it's
we should have put this as our first episode.
Right, I know.
We should go back and delete the first episode and put this.
Yeah, this is episode, we'll title it episode 1.
Episode 1. We putting the world on notice.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, you take, that church, like Greg Locke, I mean, because these people, they have platforms, and because they have platforms, they are what people think of when you hear the word Christian.
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to get judgy just for a second. Now,
Go ahead.
Goodness gracious, a Christian should never do that, right?
Yep.
But do you think people begin to ride that platform if they see popularity in it?
Absolutely.
Because here's the thing. That's what and that's whenever I think we have to ask the question: don't make me preach. Are we doing this for purpose or for popularity?
How many, and we hear those conversations. How many people in Hollywood have sold their soul to Hollywood to join? You hear those things. Brad Pitt sold his soul to the devil because he's out here supporting Joe Biden.
Right.
And then you're like, but then you're like, how many churches have sold themselves out just to support an agenda?
Yeah.
How many churches have sold themselves out to the devil because that's what he's doing? You're doing the devil's work.
Yeah. I mean, division,
exactly.
Chaos, strife. I mean, the Bible says that God is not the author of confusion.
I mean, just because a person on a pulpit says some good things every once in a while doesn't mean the devil's not using them.
Oh, come on now. I mean, I guess, hey, we're coming at somebody. We're stabbing everybody.
Nobody's safe.
Yeah, nobody's safe tonight, man. But, I think, honestly, we have to step back and ask the question, are we doing this for popularity or for purpose? Which one are you doing it for? And it's like, and here, I don't know, man. Like, I'm not going to say names because, I don't want to mention people and even bring more attention, But it's like, you see people, you see, and that guy that you were talking about, I think, is one person that kind of sticks out to me. But you've seen other preachers, pastors, gravitate, towards and be a part of, that whole situation. Now, I'll give you an instance, even on a lowercase standard. Now, watch this. I used to be a part of a denomination that heavily backed Matt Bevin, okay, in the state of Kentucky. I sat behind closed door meetings. I've heard Bevin speak. I've seen his demeanors. I've things like that. And they hung their hats. I mean this denomination hung their hats on. Well, we got the governor of Kentucky coming by and speaking to us tonight. And it's like he's been over to our house. He's ate dinner and everything else. Okay, so we've put him as prize boy, right? And then he gets on TV and he calls teachers thugs.
Who's Matt Bevin?
Who's Matt Bevin? Yeah,
I don't know.
And
I've never seen him before.
All of a sudden, he was not invited back anymore. All of a sudden, he was not speaking anymore. All of a sudden, he lost the governor's race to Dandy Andy.
Daddy Andy, Uncle Andy.
Yes, absolutely.
And this is my biggest thing. I think that has turned me off from politics. Is that situation, because you're like, we as Christians are putting our faith and hope in flawed human beings instead of a perfect king.
I want to say that we're searching for status instead of the Savior.
Oh yeah,
I mean that's it. Like that's it. Like we're. I think as a church, we know
what sells.
Yeah, sales, status, things like that. It's like, we're worried about what can we do to get on people's radar. And it's like, what can we do to get on people's radar? I was telling you this before we even come on the air. Like, I had a pastor call me today and said, hey, I love how you guys run your social media, and we do nothing special. We post pictures. We've upgraded our camera system. We put some quotes out, post some pictures, things like that. We do nothing fantastic.
Videos, all this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we do nothing fantastic.
A fantastic website. I'm just going to put myself out there.
Yeah, there you go. But, we do nothing crazy good or anything like that. But here's the thing. People are still noticing. You don't have to be and again, I'm not going to name drop, but you don't have to be like churches where you're literally putting on a performance on Sundays, trying to get people in the doors and get them set down and get them drawn to a performance. It's not about a performance. If it was about a performance, we'd all be screwed. None of us would get to heaven because our performance sucks 95% of the time. So why we think it's about performance to get people in is beyond me.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it's just, we get so, and I know that kind of does go into the whole, being of the world and not being in the world, I guess, or however you say that.
Right.
Because I think we kind of adapt ourselves because, again, these churches, I think it maybe even sometimes starts off innocent, hey, we want to reach more people. How do we reach more people? And then, all of a sudden you start reaching more people because, you get a little TikTok of your pastor up here preaching against Democrats, and then you get people fired up because all the Trumpers are out here like, oh, wow, did you hear what that preacher said? I'm going to send that to my friend. Then I'm going to send it to my cousin. Then I'm going to send it to my mom. Then I'm going to send it to my cousin who's also my mother. But anyway, we get into this whole this whole mess though, because then all of a sudden that fame feels good.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I know what to say now to get views.
Right.
I know what to say now to get people to pay attention to what I have to say.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, instead of, going along with just, the Christian message of it, we start spending a little too much time focusing on the politics side of it.
Dude, I just read this. It says Chick-fil-A needs an atheist crew that works on Sunday.
Oh, absolutely.
That, my friends, is so funny. It's funny, but it's not funny, but it's kind of funny. But I'm going to laugh at it either way. You can pray for me if you want to. But, yeah, that's pretty funny. But I agree, man. It's like, we get I agree. It's like, that one video, let's just say TikTok. I was me and Andrew were talking about this morning. There's a kid on YouTube that his net worth is $23 million. He's early 20s, man, tops. And he does absolutely nothing, really. Right. You know what I'm saying? He does like challenges, reviews, and things like that. Preston's his name. I don't know if you...
I haven't heard that one.
Okay, so anyways... so $23 million. Well, here's the deal. Okay, here's the deal. He had, because Gaines was telling me all the stats today. Gaines is a numbers person. He's going to tell me all the stats. His most viewed video got almost 80 million views. Right. So with 80 million views, that is approximately about 22 to 24% of the United States of America, okay? So let's just say 25%, okay, of the United States viewed that video.
We'll get to those stats again here in a little bit.
Okay, yeah. So 25% of America watched that video. So him being smart, right? He goes back and he does a video that kind of emulates it. May not be the same thing, but now he's found a pattern that works. And because he found a pattern that works, that shoots him to stardom, because now he knows what people likes to see and what people likes to hear. The problem is, but where he didn't struggle at, because watch this, he started making separate channels for different things. He's got a Preston channel. He's got a Preston Reacts, a Preston Plays, a Preston. He's got all these different. Yes, exactly. That's the thing about it. Where again, I think I said this on Sunday or maybe Wednesday night. If you stay one dimensional, you'll always miss a dimension of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely. If you stay one-sided, you're going to miss the other side.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And that's it. But what was you going to say? You was digging through a phone, man.
No, I was like, this is just another quote that came from that same article. We talked about this again before before the pod here. It says, around the same time as this Kent Christmas situation, Pastor Jeremiah Johnson of Jeremiah Johnson Ministries, neither of us know who that is, cited a dream. All right, so here we go.
Let me look up a picture. You keep reading.
Okay. He cited a dream he had as a sign that good things would come for Trump. In it, he said that Trump had been running the Boston Marathon. No bombs this time. But fell just before the finish line.
Yeah. Here's
a quote from Jeremiah Johnson. He could not get up. The crowd was spitting on him. They were jeering at him. And suddenly, now if you think about this, it sounds like Jesus' story, right? Anyway, they were jeering at him, and suddenly, two older women who I knew were baby boomers, all right, somehow made their way through the crowd and supernaturally lifted Donald Trump up and helped him get to the finish line.
Yeah.
Johnson said, I believe God is calling on baby boomers in this nation to take your stand and believe with me that the best is yet to come.
Hey, is this cat from Kentucky?
I don't know. I didn't do that much research.
Oh, no. He ain't from Kentucky. Never mind. This cat looks like a banker, dog. Yes, probably. I see it. Evangelical prophet ends. Oh, this is on Newsweek.
Yeah, same person.
After apologizing for predicting something or another. I don't know. But anyways, I'm just looking. Yeah, this cat looks like a banker.
Oh, yeah. That dude's definitely getting to get charged with a blue-collar crime.
I guarantee
white collar. I don't remember which one's
yeah, I guarantee it. And that's us being judgy as all get out. But nonetheless.
He kind of looks like that dude from Alvin and the Chipmunks.
I think you look like Kevin off The Office.
Hey. Yeah, I can kind of see that, yeah.
To a certain
mean
extent.
Ashton Kutcher? Oh.
Yeah.
So we were talking about this beforehand, so, about like this whole, why God is called the baby boomers of all people.
Right.
And we were talking about this, and I don't know exactly how accurate this is, but according to this percentage that we found online, 22.9% of the United States population are baby boomers.
Yeah.
So that equates to about 74.1 million people. And so, we were trying to, we didn't take the time to dig in and see how many votes Trump apparently won by, but we didn't do too much digging.
I didn't talk to God about that before the episode. So
yeah, he didn't tell me. I figured if he really did it, he would have told me. But
right.
But it's just crazy to me, some of these things that as I was reading this earlier, I told Keenan, I was like, I couldn't stop laughing. I was sitting here, I was like, this dude out here saying that these two baby boomers. When this is another thing, God's using women in this situation.
Oh well, then
what?
You done pissed off.
I know,
a whole group
right?
of people.
Everybody's
like that,
done.
man.
Everybody's done.
The Baptists,
I know,
have
right?
checked out at that
They
point.
may not be Republicans anymore.
I know, right?
But it's just
independence.
Right? Yeah, there we go. But again, it's just I don't know. And this goes back to what Keenan was saying at the very beginning. Sometimes keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
And again
about most things,
right? Exactly. But, and then I'm just like, all right,
about most things, man.
All right, this dude probably wrote this down and was like, how can I make this the craziest story?
Well,
that I could let's number one, let's start out by comparing him to Jesus.
Whenever I typed in his name, okay, the very first thing that it labeled it as was Trump prophet.
Woo.
Trump prophet. Now,
it's a new job title.
Trump prophet, okay? Now, the last time I checked, God, we'll get all kinds of people stirred up. The last time I checked, God was in the business of issuing callings, issuing classifications, issuing pulpits, and ministries. The last time I checked. Now, I know some people might disagree with me and be like, I can start with, God's give us dominion and whatever. I'm not in here with arguing with people, but that's just my belief. I believe God has done that. So if it would, to me, if we're seeing, we're basically seeing the answer flash in front of our eyes. It says Trump prophet. The last time I checked, Trump wasn't God. I don't care who it is. I don't care who I'm talking to, Democrat, Republican, black, white, Cuban, Asian, millionaire, or dead broke. He's not God. You know what I'm saying? He is not God. And
He
so
done turned off like half.
I
of
know,
Kentucky.
man. I know. That's it. You know, well, I mean, yeah, true, because there's only 3 counties in Kentucky that's not Republican. You know, or three of
95% of Kentucky, you done turned them off.
I know, right? You know, yeah. So, hey, but I bet you Bowling Green, Louisville, and Lexington might be running strong right now.
Yeah.
They listened to me.
Yeah, if they made it past some of the things we said earlier.
That's
you
true
know.
too. Yeah, but you know, like here's the deal: Trump is not God, and if it would have said God's prophet Jeremiah Johnson, that's different. You know, a prophet from God, okay. You know, like at least I'm going to entertain the situation. But if you say Trump prophet, you know, God only speaks to me about Donald Trump. Really?
Why?
Why? Yeah, like why? Why? I need to know when a Raising Cane's is coming to E-Town.
Amen.
Does he speak to you about that?
Yeah.
You know, does he speak to you about finances? I don't know. Does he speak to you about maybe helping save people's souls? Does he speak to you about checking in on widows and orphans, like what our true ministry is supposed to be? Does he speak to you about, I don't know, helping ministries grow? Does he speak to you? How come he only speaks to you about that? It's a good question, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
I mean, it's just like,
Or let's make some more people mad tonight. How come God only speaks to you whenever it's for somebody else? Somebody help me up in this place. This is going to be a 2-parter. You know, but it's like God only speaks to you whenever it's convenient for somebody else to hear. What? God doesn't speak to you about you. He only speaks to you about other people. Well, that's not God. That's gossip. And God doesn't gossip.
Yeah,
I can't.
I know, right?
I can't. How far are we in? 50 minutes?
40.
40? I mean, we just need to cut and go home and we need to advertise this episode, make T-shirts, magnets, promote it on Facebook, and be like, look, like if you want everybody to be mad, go listen to this episode because
yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
because I mean at this point, like, but it's the truth. Like it is the absolute God's honest truth.
Yeah, and it's been getting under my skin, I guess, you know, for a while. And you know, as I was telling you before the podcast, I said, you know, I used to be I would say I won't say hardcore Republican, but I used to, you know, call myself a Republican. You know, I even tell people I voted for Donald Trump. You know, I mean, I don't necessarily feel bad about that to say that I did it. You know, but the people who are, you know, like Kent Christmas here, or you know this other dude, people like that, people who after
that
the
name
election
just cracks me
right,
up.
I know, right?
Kent Christmas.
Kent Christmas.
That just sounds like
he probably changed his name when he was little. He used to be like Eugene or something.
Yeah.
But like people like that, people who still after the election results were in and after, you know, the inauguration happened, who still had Trump flags flying in their yard, but they, you know, like people who were Christians having Make America Great or Trump 2024 flags in their yard, but not a cross in their yard or not a Christian flag in their yard. And, you know, people like that are what turned me away from politics.
Well,
and I just like...
We've always said that. Like, if people know you more by your political views versus your stance on Jesus or not, then we've got a problem.
Yeah, and I mean, it's,
you know,
it's
if people
crazy.
know you're a Democrat before they know you're a Christian or Republican before they know you're a Christian, that's a problem.
Yeah, I think so, exactly. And I mean, it's, you know, it's just one of those things. Again, you know, I think that we are called to a higher standard than politics. You know, these people who call themselves politicians, you know, they are. I mean, I would say almost most of the population would agree that politicians are corrupt. You know, like, and I like, so we're putting our hope and our faith in these politicians. We are literally worshiping these politicians. You know, and prophesying in the name of these politicians.
Yeah.
But you know, we as Christians are called to serve one person.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
And he is not a president, not a governor, not a representative. He is a king.
Right.
And to me, you know, God has really hit me with that. And again, this is my convictions, but you know, to me, I even have a hard time now, like being any sort of political, voting for anybody, because to me, you know, I don't want anybody to think that I serve a political party over Jesus. I don't want anybody to think that I worship a political person over Jesus. I want people to know that I serve Jesus and I do what I do and I say what I say because I believe in a risen Savior, a King who rules over all political parties, all nations, all worlds, not just the United. And that's another huge thing that hits me is because of the politicalization of Christianity. It's like we have turned Christianity into an American religion. You know, you can't be a Christian if you didn't vote for Donald Trump. Well, what about the people in the United Kingdom? What about the people in Asia? What about the people in South Africa? They didn't vote for Donald Trump. Are they not
they
Christians?
Couldn't. They
right?
couldn't.
But like
They
again,
couldn't.
there's that mindset.
Well, you
of
have to think about
you
the
have to be
statement that
way.
you're saying too. I mean, whenever you say that statement of, well, you can't be Christian and vote Democrat. You think about that statement, and it's like, number one, you're burying yourself within the confines of your conversation, because at that point you're saying that that again you're excluding and you're putting yourself on an island at that point from the rest of the world. And we've talked about this. Like, we understand we are in the world, but we are not of the world. Like we weren't made to be to look and feel and act and think and all that good stuff like the world. Like, I get that, but our job while we're here is to win as many people as we can away from the world, and putting ourselves on an island. I can't help but preach. Putting ourselves on an island and expecting people to swim that don't know how to swim. Come join me on this island. I can't swim. You ain't got enough faith, I'll tell you right now. Only the people that can swim over here need to make it anyways. That's
The
what
vein
we're
in
doing.
your neck is
I know,
crazy,
man.
man.
It's crazy. It is, man. It's and I've only had like 2 energy drinks today. But anyways, like, I think that's what we're doing. Like, we're painting ourselves into a corner, and then we're like, why? Well, here's the thing. Why don't we have anybody else join us? Well, because you're in a corner, dude, and you can only fit so many people in the corner.
Yep, and and it's crazy because I'll come at another side here. You have churches out there who they're clearly making a political statement by what they say on a Sunday, but you have also other churches that are clearly making a political statement by flying a rainbow flag outside. Like, that's the other side of the spectrum. It's not necessarily Republicans doing that. I would argue that stereotypically it's probably Democratic Christians that are, trying to make that statement. They're out here saying, like, hey, people are welcome here. Come here. I do believe there are people that take it too far, just like the other side. And I think, it's important for us to know that Jesus has called us to love all people. And I made this conversation, or this, point in another podcast before, talking about like the church closures.
Yeah.
And I know he gets a lot of flack, but there's a pastor, Andy Stanley, and he gets a lot of flack when it comes to
we've
this
lost
kind of
more
stuff.
viewers.
Right? I know, it's fine.
Way to go.
But he gets a lot of flack. But when he was, I read a book of his, and I've talked about this before. But he in this book he talked about how like, again, if he had shut down, or if he had refused to shut down the church, he would have been making people who needed Jesus angrier. He would have been pushing people who needed Jesus, stereotypically, your Democrats, is what Christians believe, they aren't saved.
Right.
You would be pushing people with those ideas, those beliefs, those ideologies. You'd be pushing those people further away because they're going to look at you and say you're a hateful, hurtful person. You don't care about other people's lives. You don't care about safety. You don't care about helping this nation. You don't care about helping this world. And you're pushing those people away by taking a stance and saying, I'm not going to close this church down.
Right.
And, I think a lot of us, we as Christians, we're like, oh God, we don't have enough, it's faith over fear. If we don't if we shut this church down, we're just bowing down to a government. But again, we just get it so lost. I think we get the message so mixed up. And we don't think about the outside factors and the things that we're possibly doing. We don't think about the effects of the statements that we make.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that's very, very important for us to do. If we're kind of trying to find the positive out of this news story here,
right?
That we were talking about in this whole horrible situation that we've been discussing for almost an hour, is. Again, we have to be more empathetic. We have to be able to listen to people on both sides. We have to stop taking a political stance as a Christian, and we have to start taking a Christian stance as a Christian. And I think that that's just something that we refuse to do because it's not popular. Because if we're a Christian and we don't immediately damn somebody to hell because they're wearing a rainbow. Like, oh, you're not a Christian. If you're not going to sit there and cast them into hell, if you're not going to tell them that they're wrong, then you're not a Christian. You're not doing your Christian responsibility.
Right.
Like that. It's just crazy to me. It's just I've seen so many different things like this that have happened over the past few years, and it's just again, it's been one of those things that has pushed me so far away from politics that I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to vote anymore. Like it's just these things that you're like. I serve Jesus, and
Yep.
I trust Jesus. I trust God to put people in place who need to be put in place. If anything,
Yeah.
if this last election has shown anybody anything, it's that we can rally together, even if it makes sense. You know, as Kent Christmas here says, even though Donald Trump should be president, like even though people believe that, if this shows anything, it's that we are not in control of what happens in this nation.
Yeah. Well,
And we have to trust that God has a reason, a plan, and a purpose. And this is another thing. This is something that not a lot of people are going to like to hear here. This world is not going to get any better.
Ooh, don't say that
Right?
now. People,
Donald Trump is not going to be your savior because this world is headed to destruction.
I literally talked to a lady today that I think had that mindset. No joke. Like, she was literally talking, and she said, and she was like doomsday theorist, and she was like, she said, you need a month of water and food supply, and you need your medicines and things like that, and you need some cash on hand, and you just need to sit back and watch the show. That's it. And I'm like, what show? What show are you talking about? And she's like, what's about to happen? And I'm like,
What's about to happen?
What's about to happen? You'll find out. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, you're making a conscious effort here to really get me tuned into season 2. But I'm like, what is it? You just need to figure. But it's just a hump. It's just a hill. We just got to get over the hump. We got to get over the hill. 2024. Oh, 2024 is going to get here, and then everything.
What happens in 2024?
Yeah,
I think there's somebody who's already president running for president again,
and everything is magically going to be great again. It's going to be great again.
All we need is that orange man in office.
All we need. That's all we need. Well, and it's not even orange man. It's that people have bought into the mentality of whoever makes those decisions controls the narrative. And we find more times than not that yes, worldly wise, that may be the case, but spiritually speaking, I
think my biggest thing from a faith standpoint is it doesn't matter who's in office.
It doesn't, because it shows through the Bible throughout times and times and times again that there could be evil, wicked, corrupt leaders in charge, and God will place people where He wants them to, when He wants to, and how He wants to bring about His good.
Exactly.
I mean, what are we doing?
Just because Joe Biden is president of the United States doesn't mean my mission ends.
Right.
Like, it doesn't mean that I should give up and not try to reach people again. It doesn't mean that there's no hope left in the world. It doesn't mean that things aren't, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to heaven just because this person's in office. Like,
I don't even think it means that, but at the same point in time, I mean, I know that crap's in a crapper where it's supposed to be. But I know stuff is bad right now. I know inflation's bad. I know economically things are bad, and I get that. But we preach about this on Sundays. Hey, everybody's showing up with clothes on their back. I mean, we're still able to get donuts and coffee that everybody runs through every Sunday. I mean, the electricity's still on. I mean, we're still paying rent. I mean, people still showing up. So here's the deal. People were doing that when Trump was president. People's doing it when Biden's president. People do it whoever the next president is. I'm not saying times aren't tough, but God's in control. And
do you have faith or do you not have
right,
faith?
Absolutely. Does your faith change when the leaders change?
Right, exactly. Do you have more faith in your political leader than in your king?
Right, exactly. So I want to read these verses right here. They got Bible verses tonight.
Right.
Oh, my God.
Woo!
Daniel chapter 2. It says, watch this. It says, Then Daniel praised the God of heaven and said, Praise be to the name of God forever and ever. Wisdom and power are His. He changes times and seasons. He deposes kings and raises up others, which, if you don't know what that means, it means He has the ability to cast them down or to raise them up. Let me read that one more time for all my people out there. He changes times and seasons, which is a lot more important than presidents, by the way. And He deposes kings and raises up others. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to the discerning. He reveals deep and hidden things. He knows what lies in darkness, and light dwells with Him. How does He know? Let me ask you this really quick. How does He know what lies in darkness? That's because light dwells in Him. And you can't have exactly. So anytime He shows up in a dark situation, He begins to reveal. It's that simple. It's that simple. You want to know who somebody truly is? Bring Jesus to the party with you. That'll reveal really quick. You know, like that's just my thing, man. Like, you know, the more that I talk to people and people get in on politics and what's your stance on this and what's your belief on this and everything else, I'm like, man, I just love Jesus. I just want to tell more people about Jesus. You know, and they may call that cliche or the easy way out or whatever they want to, but I think if you come hear me preach on Sundays, you'll see my convictions and you'll see what I'm passionate about. And, you know, and my passion is for people to know who Jesus is and to let Jesus just wreck their life and wreck their plans. And I think once you do that, everything starts to make sense. Everything falls into place. Everything, you know, the economy doesn't bother you. The president doesn't bother you. The governor's race doesn't bother you. The weather doesn't bother you. You know, I mean, heck, I literally went and had part of myself cut out today, you know, and squeezed out and bled out for a little while, man. And, you know, the doctor was like, you know, I'll send us off for test. I'll let you know something on Friday, you know. Am I worried? No. I mean, I literally made the joke, but I was serious. I said, if it's good news, call me. I said, if it's bad news, keep it to yourself because I'm not going to change. Mm-hmm. And he was like, okay. You know, and I mean, that's just the way, like, that's the way I am. I mean, that's the way that I've come to believe and navigate life is that the fact of that God's got me, man. You know, through the good, through the bad, through the ugly. You know, I've never starved. I've never gone without. God's always been there.
Right, and this is my, you know, like, I know it's probably a little while, I guess July 4th. So when you see your
last year?
families, no, this year.
Oh.
When you see your friends and family, you know, for 4th of July this year,
yeah.
You know, and they start talking politics,
Hashtag
you know,
America.
right? Or, amen.
America.
But, like, you know, when they start talking politics, you know, ask them, you know, that question, you know, like, hey, you know, did Donald Trump put bread on your table or did Jesus?
Yeah.
Did Donald Trump pay your bills or did Jesus?
Yeah.
Did Donald Trump get you up every single day, get you to work, get you home safely, or did Jesus do it?
Right.
You know, so why are we so focused on this one political candidate who we think is going to save us when Jesus is the only one who can save us?
That's a good question, man. I mean, that is a great question. But again, I think, like you said, going back to your statement, and then, man, I think we've beat this one up tonight, man. I feel good about this one. But going back to what you said, you know, we are so concerned about the world being divided whenever we're dividing the world a lot of times. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that's what it goes to. If we're not preaching a message that is literally, and again, I may pat on our backs a lot. I might be a little biased, but, you know, our message has always been to build bridges, not walls. Mm-hmm. I want to build bridges to people. You know, if you're jacked up, messed up, and everything else, you know, me looking at you going, you know, well, you're going straight to hell in a handbasket. Like, you already know that because your life feels like hell. Mm-hmm. You know, we talked about this on Sunday with Jeremiah 29:11. I can't look at somebody and be like, God's got good plans for your life whenever you literally got told you had 2 weeks left to live. You know, I need to be talking about Jeremiah 29:4-10. Where God was talking about everything as a process, and I got to make you uncomfortable, and I got to get you out of the land that you're in because you're comfortable in sin. So I got to get you out of it, let you stay in this for a little bit, and I'm working some stuff out. It is good. It's working out. It's going to take some time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of Republicans are uncomfortable right now.
Oh, absolutely. They're in unknown territory.
Yeah,
you know?
And I think, you know, that's another
thing. And the Democrats were uncomfortable before that.
Yep,
you know,
absolutely. Very uncomfortable.
You know, yeah, absolutely.
We're all very uncomfortable.
Yeah,
we're all just constantly in a state of uncomfortable.
Yeah,
but,
that's it.
You know, and it's one of those things that kind of hit me too, as my last little point. But it's just, you know, sometimes we forget that just because we, you know, that glory, that healing, that new body, that all of that stuff may not happen here.
Yeah, right.
And I think that's something that, you know, a lot of Christians also need to think about and be reminded of is that, you know, you may be going through hell right now, but God has something better planned for you. It may not be here on earth. It may be in heaven, but what you're going through is going to eventually help others. It's going to help guide others. It's going to help unite others. And, you know, maybe your purpose, you know, is, you know, to suffer. I know that's a hard thing for people to hear. I think, you know, sometimes people, you know, they don't want to hear that, you know, but sometimes your suffering can lead to the salvation of other people. And we don't want to talk about that.
Another sermon right there.
I know, right?
another preaching sermon right there.
But, you know, and I think it's something for us to make sure that we think about, you know, your healing, you know, just because we're like, you know, why do kids die of cancer? Well, it united you as a family together, and that kid is now on the other side feeling happy and joyful and running around with God.
Right.
Like, and that's a hard thing for a parent.
It's hard to digest.
It's a hard thing for a parent to digest.
It is.
But, when you look back on that situation, be like, we were never closer than when this was happening.
Yeah.
If this hadn't happened to us, we wouldn't be where we're at with our faith right now.
Right.
And I see that with a lot of families who are fighting with, their kids have cancer, but, they're sitting here posting about God every single day.
Yeah.
Would they be doing that if not for their kids having cancer?
Right. I know.
Would they
Good
have
question.
that testimony?
Good question.
And I think it's an important thing for us to ponder.
Yeah. Well, I've always said, I think that God's promises and plans are always derived through pain. I said that Sunday, and I think that's true. The greatest plan, the salvation plan, was derived through the cross of Calvary. Pain, circumstance. And I mean, Jesus even looked into the cup in the garden, and he looked and he was like, like, Lord, hey, if there's another way, take this cup from me. I mean, like, Jesus knew. He knew it was about to get real, and it was about to get painful. But what did he say? But nonetheless, it is your will, Lord, not mine. So pain was a process that revealed purpose and promise. And I've always said that we need to let our pain have purpose so we can see God's promises. So yes, like, to me, I think a state of uncomfort, a state of pain, we grow from that, we learn from that, and we use that, to be better. So anyways, man, I tell you what, I think we've been passionate tonight. We just may talk about this every week. What do you think? We go from there, man. But anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in, for listening. I hope we've not got on your nerves too bad. But again, just very passionate about what we do. So hit that download button, tell some more people about us, keep them coming, and we love you guys. Thank you so much. Be blessed, and have a wonderful rest of the week.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, go.
Thank you to everyone for listening to the People Suck But Love 'Em Anyways podcast. As always, you can check us out on Facebook at Fruition Church, YouTube at Fruition Church of Hodgenville, and check out our website at www.fruitionchurchky.org. Remember, don't suck and love people.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, go.